You're gonna be my guinea pig. If I can get a left-handed batter for the sake of the demonstration. Okay. For our purposes, you should call the rule book strike zone. And youth baseball, no one is there to see them throw 9,000 balls. Look for strikes, look for outs. Okay? So, if you want me to be technical about the rule book strike zone, it is defined as the midpoint between the top of the pen and the shoulders is the upper bound of the strike zone, and the bottom point is the hollow of the knee. What that really means to you is, again, to put it crudely, from the nipples to the knees. That's the strike zone. And it is the width of the plate. Okay, so Bill is locked in, ready to hit. Strike zone is from here to here. That's a big strike zone. Okay? And if you're umpiring 10-year-old baseball, you better call lots of strikes because you'll be there all night if you don't. Okay? And the rule book says any part of the ball crosses through any part of the strike zone. So the ball's here. This little edge over the plate, that's a strike. Even though the outermost point of the ball is off the plate, that's a strike. Same thing on the other side. Bill, can you hit that pitch? You bet. If you really reach, can you hit that one? You bet. For what we're doing here, if they can reasonably get a bat on it, call it a strike. Okay, I'm not saying if it's way out here. I said reasonable. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is if it's a ball width outside of the plate, in a 10-year-old game, that's a strike. Okay? But by rule, it's got to be over the plate. And from the knees to basically the letters on the uniform. Okay? That's what they call it. Most letters are not there anymore. But call it big strike zone. Okay? So it's here, it's a strike. If it's up at the shoulders, that's not a hittable pitch. Okay? This is not a hittable pitch. But you know what? A little bit below the knee, you can hit that. You can definitely hit that, and you can hit that right there. You get fully extended, that's a home run pitch. Right there. Okay? In the big leagues and colleges, they don't call that anymore. They're trying to get it a little higher about the belly button in college ball. And big leagues are closer to that now. But for what we're doing here, I want letters to the knees and be big. Okay? Nobody's there to see a bunch of walks. Alright? Questions or comments about the strike zone? Or experiences you've had as an umpire before with the strike zone?
Don't change it. Don't let a coach start battering you into changing it. Keith Bright, you gotta keep your mouth shut. But if you start calling that chin as a strike, and you know it was wrong and you screwed up, I don't know, Jay, what do you say? Do you change it?
If you missed a call, you missed one. Okay? If the first pitch of the game is here, and you call that a strike, don't call that all night. Everybody knows you missed it. Okay? Make the adjustment. Alright? You're going to miss pitches. You know, when I was really at my best, if I missed 4, 5, 6 pitches in a game, I could live with that. Out of 300, we'll take it. It's 1%, 2%, you know, something like that. So, if you miss some, you miss some. But if you blatantly miss one early in a game, make the adjustment and get it back to where it needs to be. Okay? Because it's not fair to the game. Again, so we'll go back to the respect the game thing. Call it within the parameters of the rules. And again, with 10-year-old baseball, we're going to open up and make it a little bigger. Reward the pitchers for throwing it in a spot where they can hit, because it's hard to pitch when you're 10 years old. Yes?
I'm sorry, but I have to leave. I have this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
You bet. See you later.
All right, see you.
Any questions about the strike zone? Thanks for coming.
There you go.
All right. Yes?
Thank you.
I would just say, don't let the
I
mismatch
know.
redetermine the strike zone within a game, too, because when you're doing 10s and 11s, you're gonna have some blowouts. But
Right.
if you have a strike zone, that's a strike zone. Don't, the strike zone doesn't grow 6 inches on each side, just because one team's up 50 feet.
Right. Keep it the same. I mean, if you're going to open the zone because it's blowout, do it both ways.
Right.
And that's not something you need to work on to worry about. But if it comes to that point where it's just unavoidable, make sure it's both ways. You want the same strike zone for both teams. That's the most important thing. I mean, if you're going to give a little wider strike on a given night, You're gonna give them this pitch out here when you normally don't? Okay. All they want is for it to be the same both ways. That's it. Question?
Same for Babe Ruth as it is for the little guys?
They-
Same general area?
Oh yeah, I would still, I mean, the coaches try to have a little bit of stroke in terms of how you call pitches. Like, they'll let you know if they don't want this, because they'll holler, that's not a strike. And if I'm gonna work some American Legion games, I will not call this pitch a strike in an American Legion game. There's not a chance. They'll kill me. Won't they? Right there, you can get away with that. That's still a little bit above the belt, but that's a hittable pitch. I mean, that's right in your wheelhouse. But that's about the top down of the strike zone anymore for older guys. But for the little guys, you can get up here, you can get a little bit lower than usual. But as long as it's the same, you're in good shape. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Bill. Rockstar. Okay. Now, this is where we're going to get into some more of the technical stuff of umpiring. Okay, I wish I had something a little shorter than this chair, but we'll make do. Okay, for all intents and purposes, this is our catcher for this next part. Okay, plate mechanics. By mechanics, I mean how you position yourself in the way your stance is to be the home plate umpire. This is going to be the most technical part of what we're talking about. Okay? I mean, it's a little low. The most of the guys you'll be umpiring will be about that high when they catch. So we'll deal with it. All right, principle one of being a home plate umpire. Get your head still, completely motionless in the spot where you can best see the entire pitch. Okay? That's number one. You don't want to be moving when the ball's coming. When the pitch is on its way, you want to be stopped. Okay? Principle number two is once you are set in your position, once you're here, well, as I said earlier, only your eyes move. Okay? Only your eyes are moving. Now, let's say we have a right-handed hitter. Right-handed batter. Actually, Bill, can I borrow you again? Sorry. Right-handed hitter. Okay. We're going to umpire in what's called the slot. And the slot is the space between the catcher and the batter. This open area here between the catcher and the batter is called the slot. Okay? And we're going to get ourselves in this position because when we're here, you can see the entire plate, you can see the pitch. If you get yourself back here, the catcher can pop on you and you're not going to see a thing. Okay? You've got to be able to see the entire plate from wherever that pitch is going to be caught. So you want to be in the slot. Okay? And that's, again, this area between the batter and the catcher and home plate. The best way to get yourself there, first of all, we're going to line up in what we call a heel-toe alignment. Again, this is super technical, but it'll get yourself the right spot. You're going to put your toe, this is your slot foot. Okay, the foot, in this case your left foot, is your slot foot. So your foot that is closest to the slot, this is your trail foot. Okay? You're going to put the toe of your slot foot on the line with the back edge of the catcher's heel. Okay? And then when you come into your stance, now you're going to be in heel-toe with your foot. So you're going to take a line through your heel and your other toe. Okay? And that's going to get you in the slot. Okay? And you're going to make sure your natural inclination is to turn this way. And rotate your hips a little and face forward. Now, stick your foot out a little, 45 degrees or so. Okay? That's the proper foot alignment when you're in the slot. Next thing. This is the most important. You're going to take your inside ear and put it over the catcher's outside shoulder. Okay? And that's going to put your head right in the perfect spot. If you get your ear over his shoulder, it's going to get you the same spot every time. Okay? So I'm here and I'm here. Look where my ear is, it's over his shoulder. Every time. Okay? Fight to get to that spot. If you find yourself having trouble seeing pitches on a given night, remind yourself of the ear over the shoulder. Okay? And I can bring a handout of this tomorrow. I've got more handouts and I can go through it. But just get your ear over that shoulder, and then you'll go down and try to maintain that spot. Okay, A to B, and what that means is Go from A is standing, B is in your stance. Don't drift. So in other words, as the pitch is coming, don't drift into your stance. When the pitcher gets set to go, get there and stop. Okay? A to B, don't drift. Hands and arms, your slot arm, you're going to tuck it in next to your waist. Your trail arm is going to go on your leg. So when you get into your stance, you're going to go here and put it here. That way, if a foul ball happens to come in here, if your arm's out here dangling and you get hit, you break a wrist. If it's tight in here with your body, there's no recoil and it's less likely for injury. Same thing with your hand back here, tuck it in here. That way it's less likely to get hit. You'll hide it behind the catcher also. And then if there's adjustments you need to make, let's say the batter's hugging the line. You're real tight. And it cuts down your area to see. The best thing you can do, you still want to keep your ear over the shoulder, but you're going to take a step back and raise up so you can still see the outside corner of the plate. And then, of course, at the end of all of it, make your signal. Okay? And then you get back to your spot, relax till the next pitch. Questions?
What about touching the catcher?
I don't recommend it.
Okay.
A lot of guys like to do it as a way to get themselves closer or get themselves in the right spot. You see it in big league games, and they're big league umpires for a reason, you know. But for here, if everybody doesn't do it, I think it'd throw off some catchers. Throw off a 10-year-old kid, I think. So if you get the right heel-toe alignment, you don't need to touch the catcher because you're there. You're in the right spot. There's no need to touch it. Same thing on the left side. Be a left-handed here. You just switch everything around. Now your right foot is your slot foot. Get everything, you just switch it backwards. So get the heel-toe. Tuck your right arm, your left ear is now over the catcher's right shoulder. Everything's the same. You get down, get in the slot. I can see the outside corner. Because if I'm back here, I can't see the whole outside part of the plate. So if I've got to get up in the slot, I can see the whole plate. Calling outside strike is hard. It just is, okay? So you got to get yourself in that spot, see the pitch the best you can. Any questions?
Why would you not tuck your 3 arm inside on
Do what?
your leg?
That's just the way they've always taught it. You get it down here, but also it's a way to help you get yourself in the same spot every time. Because if you bar your arm at the same spot, you're going to go down to the same height every time. Okay? You just kind of run that little V right there in your leg, right there, get to the same spot every time. The only thing I forgot to mention is important the height of your head. It's going to be hard with little guys, but if you're working Babe Ruth games and guys are a little taller, the bottom of your chin should be on the same level as the top of the catcher's head. Okay? Bottom of your chin, same level as the top of the catcher's head. Now, this is an extreme example because I'm not going to, there's no way in hell I'm getting that low. Because I mean, that's way down here. Okay, but if I'm working a Legion game, it's going to be about right here. Most catchers are going to be about that high. Okay, but that should be what you aim for. Because getting lower, you get a more real, true view of the strike zone. Because if you get down, now you can see this low strike. This is a hard pitch to call because it's coming at a down angle. Okay? And getting a low strike is hard. So you want to get yourself down here as best you can to see that pitch right there. Okay? Questions?
You always come out of your stance when you make your call?
Always.
Up and out, or just up?
It depends. If it's a strike, I'm coming up and out.
Yeah.
If it's a ball, I'll just ball. Just come up.
Right.
And just relax between pitches. You know, umpiring not that hard if you just work at it. Because in a Major League Baseball game, the ball is in motion about 12 minutes. Total. In a 3-hour game. Okay? So relax between every pitch because if you don't, you'll kill yourself.
So the ball call is while you're in your stance and start.
Yes. Yes. If I'm calling ball, I'm going to stay in my stance. Ball. Okay, I'm going to come up. And for the strike, I'll go ahead and come out. Right there.
So is this strike call the same direction regardless of which?
Yes. It used to be, years ago, they had to go away from the batter, just like for a left-handed hitter. But anymore, everybody's going up to the score to the right. It's the same everywhere.
What about the count?
Okay, good question. Signaling the count, it's gonna look backwards to people in front of you, we don't care. Because really signaling the count is to the press box, if there is one. So you're gonna put balls on your left hand, strikes on your right. Okay, and you're gonna get it up here. Not down here, we're not trying to look cool, it's about being practical. Up here, okay? And umpires signal 3 this way and 2 this way. This is not 2 for an umpire, this is 2. Okay? We're not playing, we're umpiring, so we're gonna signal the right way. Okay? And this is not a full count, this is a 3 and 2 count. Okay? Do things the right way. And generally when I'm giving the count, if they're not asking, I'm gonna give the count on odd numbered counts. Okay? By that I mean an odd number of pitches have been thrown. So I'm not gonna give 0 and 1, but I'll give 2 and 1, or 1 and 2, and 3 and 2. That's about the only time I give the count. Everybody, if you throw the first pitch at bat, you don't need to tell them it's 0 and 1. They know. Okay? And after the second pitch, I got a pretty good idea it's 1 and 1, or 0 and 2. But if it's an odd count, 2 and 1, 3 and 2. And I prefer, and again, this is umpire school mechanics, and the way I was taught, it's 3 balls, 2 strikes is how you're going to get the count. Not 32, not 3 and 2. You say 3 balls, 2 strikes. Or 1 ball, 2 strikes. Or 2 balls, 1 strike. Okay? Verbalize it to make it as clear as possible. That way it's not ambiguous. All right?
You go hand simultaneously?
Yep.
Because I've seen some guys go 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, I hate that.
I hate it too.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Put your hands up at the same time. Again, we're not here trying to put on a show. We're here to be practical and do a job. Okay? You can have a little bit of style and flair with your strike call. Okay? But let's be practical in what we're doing. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Questions? Okay. Thank you. Now, a couple of other things about working the plate. Everybody will have an indicator. It's called an indicator, not a clicker. Sorry. It's called an indicator. Okay? And it goes in your left hand. It's designed to go in your left hand. It's got this little edge to go in the palm of your left hand. If I see you holding it in your right hand, I will get after you like that. That is a real annoyance of mine. Designed to go in your left hand. Look how it fits right there. In the base of your left hand. You really shouldn't have to look at it. Okay, there are way too many umpires that are tied to it. I can't tell you how many times in a youth game I've seen a guy call a strike, and as he's pointing, he's looking at his indicator doing this. There is no reason you should need to do that. This is here as a safety guard, as a safety net for you, in case something happens, like if a coach comes out and talks to you and takes your mind away from what's happening on the field. It's there as a backup. I rarely look at mine, because I know where I'm at in the game all the time. Okay? And we talked about timing earlier. Here's a really great timing tip for you. To keep yourself from calling a pitch too fast, bring it on your indicator before you call it. Okay? And mine, I special order these to the company, the umpire supply company. Like if you go down to Walmart, it's going to have them all screwed up. It'll have strikes first and then balls, and they go to 3 and 4, and the out says 3. Well, you don't need to see that it says 4 balls. Because you have to reset it to the next one anyway. So this one only has 3 balls maximum, 2 strikes, and 2 outs, or the most that this goes to. But the point being, if you're going to bring up on your indicator, pitch, caught, I'll ring it, ball. Okay? That's going to help my timing. Because that's my mental call of the pitch right there when I roll it on my indicator. Same thing for a strike. A pitch, that's going to get my timing down, okay? It'll improve your timing if you use this as your timing mechanism, okay? It'll take a little practice doing that, but try to avoid looking at it, okay? Because I can promise you, I know that right now it says 2 and 1. If I've got a 2 and 1 count, I know it. But then now let's say we have a coach come out and they want to say, oh, they're batting out of turn or something, and we have a delay, or there's a rain delay or something, a dog on the field, which could happen. Then my mind's on something else. Now I can come back to it and say, okay, I've got a 2-1 count. Here we go. or there's some confusion. If this dugout thinks it's 2-1 and this dugout thinks it's 2-2, you've got it. No, we're going 2-1. Okay? Use this as a tool, but don't use it as a crutch. Okay? Now, are you only putting one out there for them? Just one? Or the base umpire's going to carry one also?
No, just the home plate umpire.
Okay. Used to be everybody carried one. Home and plate and base umpires would carry
How
one.
would you like it then?
I think it keeps our base umpires locked in because even now, I have a tendency to let my mind wander on the bases sometimes.
Well,
It's just-
the league provides indicators, indicators,
Okay.
so we can just get extra down at the field.
Okay. I would prefer the base umpires carry one also. Just in case there's some confusion, you can go to your partner and say, hey, what do you have for the count? And they can help you if you lose as a plate umpire. But you should never need that. Okay. Next one, this is a small thing, but it's kind of a big thing. How you clean the plate. Do they have plate brushes?
Yes,
They will have one?
hopefully.
Okay.
They did, I haven't seen what they stock, but yes, we had plate
Okay.
brushes.
Plate brush, keep it in your back right pocket. Or just where it goes, okay? Now, don't use your foot. This looks lazy. Come out here and clean your plate. I hate that. And I will get on your ass faster than anything if I see you clean the plate with your foot. Proper way to do it, you put your back to the pitcher. And this is to be respectful to the fan. So you're not mooning the fan. You're not doing this. You're not sticking your butt in the catcher's face. Proper way to clean the plate, turn your back to the catcher, and then clean the plate. Okay? And it should be fairly quick. Okay? I don't need you to get every speck of dust off the plate. Okay, so we're not going to sit here, and we're not cleaning house. But I see a lot of guys doing all this crap. It's that one clean plate for you. It's just, and it's that fast, and then get back behind the plate and continue the game. Okay? Now what I would do when you're cleaning the plate, after the pitchers are warming up, when they've thrown it down to second base, is a great time to step in and say, all right, we're getting ready to go. We'll clean the plate. While the batter's going to get set, you look at the catcher and say, we're ready? Yep. Okay, let's go. Communicate with your catcher. Questions? All right, next thing. Oops. This is another big thing for me, working the plate. Using your mask. Proper use of your mask. All right. I know you're supposed to carry your indicator with your left hand, right? When you take off your mask, you take it off with your left hand. Why?
This is your power hand.
Signal, all your signals with your right hand. Strikes, outs are signaled with your right hand. Okay? You take off your mask with your left. I'm right-handed. It took me a long time to get comfortable taking off my mask with my left. Okay? But it's second nature now. So you get down, ball's hit, mask comes off. It's just how it is. Okay, that way, and if it's a ball at the third base line, you can point fair. If it's a ball at the first base line, you can point fair with your mask. That's just one of the things that happens from time to time, but off with your left. Okay? When you wear your umpire hat, it is always forward, regardless of whether you have your mask on or not. Do not wear your hat backwards on one plate. Just do not do it. That's why they're getting the short-billed hats. I wear this hat behind the plate, and it's a long-bill hat. You can do it. Right there is a long-bill hat. Mask fits just fine. I can see. Okay? Now, a couple things when you're putting on your mask. You want the elastic part to stay on the back of your hat. It should not come down below the hat. And when you take off your mask, your hat should stay on. Okay? I know this is a little more inside baseball than what probably needs to be, but if we're going to do things the right way, we might as well do it the right way. Okay? So put your mask on. When you put it on, you'll pull this part back and bring it behind your head. You slap the mask on, make the adjustment you need. Okay? Now we're good. See, it's on my hat. It's not below my head. And if you get a mask, well, the first thing you should do when you get there, if you're working the plate on a given night, check and make sure it's not too loose or too tight. Okay? Because you don't want to have to stop the game when you get out there and have to adjust your mask. So do it very first. okay? Make sure your equipment's gonna fit right. Because I use the same one all the time, nobody else uses it, I tape mine up. So it never moved, okay? So, right there, comes off with the left. Questions? Okay, lastly about plate umpire, then we'll move on to working the bases. Don't just stand behind home plate. Okay, this is obviously, if you're working with one umpire, if you're the only umpire, this is obviously important, because you gotta get out and make calls on the bases. But even if you're working two umpires, get out from behind home plate, okay? Ball's hit, I'm playing umpire, the second the ball's hit, unless it's a screamer down the line that you gotta call a fair foul right away, in that case you'll leave it on if it's a screamer, but otherwise, anytime the ball's hit, mask comes off, and you move out in front of the plate and see where the ball takes you, okay? Now, if there's no runners on and there's a ground ball in the infield, I'm moving up the first base line to help with a possible swipe tag if the base umpire is in a bad spot. So I'm going to move up the first base line. If it's a base hit, and there are a couple of different ways you can do it on a base hit. For me, if there's a base hit, I'm going to move up the third base line a couple of steps, just to kind of see what's going on and react to what's happening on the field. You can also come out in front of home plate and get a read for what's happening. But don't just stand behind home plate and hang out. That's the worst thing you can do. Okay? So just be mobile. And on, there's a sheet there that's attached. It's responsibilities for with runners on base, with no runners on base. We're not going to go too deep into that tonight. We'll get a little more into it tomorrow. But kind of review it if you can. Because there are some very distinct differences between what the plate umpire is doing versus what the base umpire is doing, and with runners on base or with no runner. Okay, base umpire. I know we're kind of going through a lot of this really quickly. Yeah.
Jake, before you move on to the plate, especially considering kids throwing wild pitches and stuff like that, responsibility of getting out of the way.
Good question. Come be my catcher. Okay. Ball to the screen. Okay. You're going to let the catcher decide which way you go. Okay? So, let's say the ball goes by you to your left, okay? So, down in my stance, okay, ball's by you, get it. I'm going to open up, and that's it. I'm just going to pivot on my right foot. If he goes to his left, I'm just going to open my gate and get out of his way. Okay, same thing the other way. Okay, I'm just going to get out of his way the best I can. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, if there's a runner on third, I know the younger guys that can't take home on that, right?
AAA.
AAA, but after that they can.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're having to get out of the way, your first job is to get out of the way and then get your mask off. But then if there's a runner at third, you gotta get set for a play to play. Because there could be one. Okay, so you gotta find the ball, get yourself locked in and ready. Okay? Questions? Okay.
That's one thing you do. I did hand those rules out for a reason. There's a few nuances between AAA and majors and Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is more traditional rules, but in our majors there's 60-foot base pass, no lead offs, but you can't steal. So just make sure, like Jay said, take for 5 minutes a night, kind of read through your rule book and read through. We don't expect you to know everything, but get at least familiarized yourself with the league specific rules.
Okay. I'm running short on time. I was afraid this would happen, so I will hurry as best I can through this. We might go a little bit later than 6:30, so I'm sorry for you. Base umpire, a couple of basics. Just hustle, okay? Hustle in position. Get yourself where you need to be. You try to be in proper position on every play. We'll go over it really, really quickly on this. We'll go over it a lot tomorrow also. Okay, when you're working the bases, there are two stances that are acceptable. One is standing, it's called the standing set. The other one is called hands on knees, and they're just what they are. If there's nothing happening, if it's between pitches, you can just stand here, okay? When the pitch is about to happen, when the pitcher comes set, or when he gets ready to start his windup, get down on your hands and knees, right here, hands on knees. Be locked in. Look like you're, treat this like you're playing. Okay, if you're playing shortstop, if the pitch is on the way to the batter, are you just standing here like this, popping your glove? No, you're down here, you're locked in, you're ready to go. Same thing with the umpire. down, right here.
Is it ever acceptable to kneel?
No, absolutely not. No,
You would do a creep, when you're on the bases.
not when you're in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah, but like.
When I work in first base, yes. So what I'll do, I got, say that's first base, and home plate's over there, and I'm the first base umpire. I might take a couple of steps in as the play's coming, then I'll get locked down. Or maybe if there are some games, it just kind of depends on the level of play. I just continue to walk and then kind of set as the pitch is coming. Okay, but typically, umpire school, they're teaching you hands on knees all the time when the play's about to happen. Okay. Again, we talked about be still where the play's about to occur. So that's where you're set. There's this concept, and you'll hear it a million times if you're around umpire long enough, it's pausing and reacting. Okay? So what that essentially means is
What's up,
the
fish?
ball's hit, okay? When the second hits the bat, we have no idea where the ball's going. So you got to pause and kind of see what's happening, okay? Now, when we make a read, as umpires, we're not watching the ball initially. We're watching the fielders, okay? If it's a fly ball, I am not following the ball. Because if I stare into the sun, then I'm not going to see it when it gets down to the ground. If it's a diving catch or it's a catch to the wall there, converging fielders or something. So I'm going to watch the fielders. And I'm going to read the fielders and what they're doing and then react to it. Okay? So I'm down, ball's hit, I make my read, and then I react to wherever I need to go. Okay? Read the fielders. Okay. Very quickly, we're calling force plays. Ideally, when we're calling a force play, we want to get a 90-degree angle to the play. Okay? And by that I mean, let's just say that the throw is coming from third base. Okay? Ground ball here, goes there, ball's going across. Okay, so ideally, we're going to make this call from right there, a 90-degree angle. Okay, everybody here is taking that far enough up that they know what a 90-degree angle is, right? Okay, the ball comes from shortstop and we're going to adjust. We're going to go about right there. If the ball's coming straight from second base, we're going to be on the line. Okay? You can do that with any force play. Let's say we have a force at second. So you got a runner at first. We'll say we know there's only one play. It's not going to be a double play. Okay? So the ball's coming from the third baseman, and we're going to get as close to this spot right there to call that. Okay, if it's coming from the shortstop, we're going to position ourselves a little further over, as close as we can to the 90, within reason, as far as the play will allow. Okay? Again, working two-man, there's going to be times where you can't get a great angle. Go as far as the play will allow you to get there. Okay? So you just want to get on, that's on a force play. Okay? And we'll work on that tomorrow.
Where do you set up if there's a runner on first? If you're a
Okay,
fielder?
that's next.
Okay.
We're going to positioning next. Okay? Two-man mechanics. Positioning for the base umpire. Most of this will be for the base umpire. Okay? This is called position A, position B, and position C. Those are the three starting points you'll have. Okay? Position A, no runners on. That's the only time you'll be there. Okay? Position B, and I'll bring a handout for this tomorrow and make it a little easier. Position B, runners at first only, or runners at first and third. That's the only time you're going to be in position B. Okay? Runners at first and third. If you're in position C, runners at second, runners at third, runners at second and third, or bases loaded. Okay? That's the times you're going to see. So, the bulk of the game, you're going to be in C. I would say. Especially at the younger levels. Where they're, just running rampant and nobody can catch the ball, nobody can throw a ball, so they're all over the place. Most of the time you'll be here. Okay? Now, we have this concept called the working area. Well, let me back up off of that first. To get yourself to position A or B or C, if you draw a line off the tip of home plate to the edge of the mound, okay, on either side, that's going to be where you lay yourself up. And you're going to be halfway between the rubber and the base. Position B is right there. position C is right there, we're halfway. Okay? That's your starting point. So you just draw an imaginary line that runs right through the middle of your belt buckle and on the arm, because this is going to go out in the outfield, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
Well, what if you have runners on first and second?
First and second, you're going to be here. Sorry. First and second, you're also in C. This is the only time you're going to be. Okay, runners are first, runners are first and third. All other times you're going to be over here. So if it's something that I happened to miss and you caught it, you're in C. Okay, because you want to be able to be ahead of the play. So let's say there's a steal at third. If you're over here and you don't have a great view of a steal at third, it's going to take you forever to get your angle. From C, you can get that angle and look through the play. Okay? So, just draw that line off the edge of the mound between the tip of the plate and the edge of the mound, and that's where you line yourself up halfway. Okay?
On grass.
Yes.
On grass.
Yeah, you're going to be halfway. So, I mean, the grass does not run halfway. I mean, it's going to be pretty close. So, whatever. I mean, if it's 30 feet or 15 feet, whatever it is. Yeah.
Are there going to be base umpires for AAA?
No. No. Just one umpire for those games. And we'll get into a little more of that tomorrow, just about getting angle distance. Okay? This is mostly talking about 2 men. Okay? So, initial position there. Let's see. We're just about out of time. I don't know what I go over. Okay. Quickly. When you're working 2 umpires, we have what's called a working area. And basically, it's this rectangle right behind the mound. If you hang out there, most of your umpiring as a base umpire can be done in this little rectangle behind the mound. Between position B and C, and just right in there, okay? And you can move out of it at times, but when the ball's hit, just hang out in there until the ball takes you to a play. Okay? I would just hang out behind the mound, between there and second base until the ball takes you to a play. And we'll demonstrate a little more of that tomorrow night. Review those sheets that I gave you, because there's a lot of umpire on those pages. Okay? Fly ball responsibilities are a big one. Okay? With nobody on, if base umpires in position A, we split the outfield in half. Okay? This is the base umpires, this is the plate umpires. Okay? Now, the base umpire here has initial responsibility. Okay? If it's a ball that's going to be a tough play, then the base umpire needs to go out in the outfield and take a look. Okay? If the base umpire goes out, what has to happen? Plate umpire comes out and he's responsible for all bases. Okay? So, we're going to split the difference. So it's kind of cut a little path like a diamond around there. That's only if he goes out. If the base umpire says that's not going to be a tough play, and he comes into the infield when the ball's hit, and the plate umpire has it all. Okay? Now, when we're in position B or C, we're going to split the outfield a little differently. We're going to go left field, right fielder, okay? Anything from the right fielder straight in or straight back, right fielder straight in, straight back. If the base umpire is here, and anything in between, this area here is now the base umpires, and everything from here to the line is the plate umpire's call. Okay? Because we have a possible fair foul call down the line, the base umpire will never call fair foul from in the middle of the diamond. Okay? So the base umpires here, the plate umpires have all fair foul. And so we're going to go and give them fly ball responsibility to the line and beyond, all the way over to dead ball territory, over the fence. Okay? Questions? Okay? What else? Again, go over those responsibility sheets. We'll go over some of that tomorrow. We're running out of time. I don't have time enough to get into all of it right now. In fact, they're supposed to be done right now. There are a couple of instances in 2-man where the base umpire will not have a call at third base if there's a play at third. I'm just going to get on it real fast. Okay, there's a couple of times where we're going to rotate. Okay? Mind my drawings. Okay, if we have a runner on first, and there's a base hit to the outfield, Okay? Where's the base umpire start? Position B, right? The runner at first. Okay, base, ball hit, doesn't matter, the ball hits the outfield. Ball has to leave the infield for this, to trigger this. Okay. In this case, there's a really good chance this runner's gonna try to go from first to third, right? Okay, but we also have a batting runner to worry about. So what we're gonna do, this is really important, and we will drill this tomorrow also. If this runner, once he gets to second base, and he commits himself to trying for third, the plate umpire now has responsibility for this guy on play at third base. That way the base umpire is responsible for just this guy, just the batter. Okay, so let's say, because this could happen, if you have a good game, there's a couple of good teams playing, batter's gonna try, okay, let's say he's going from first to third on this single to right. Throw comes here. He's gonna read that, and on that throw, he's gonna try to go to second base. So we're gonna have a play here, and we're gonna have a play here. We can't expect one umpire to call both of these, because your angle is gonna be awful. So the plate umpire is gonna advance down in foul territory, and then move into position in fair territory when the play is about to occur for this play here. And then if there's a throw here, then the base guy is there. Now let's say there's an overthrow. Or when he throws here, if this guy tries to score, the plate umpire's got to come back and get the play to play also. So that's, the umpire's going to have to hustle and get ahead of the play as best he can on that instance. Okay? We'll do that with runners at first, only on a base hit when the ball leaves the infield. And if there's a runner at first and third, we're going to do the same thing. Okay? So, once this guy commits, as you're moving up the third base line as a plate umpire, you're going to look over your shoulder and make sure he's touched on the plate. Okay? You look, as he's scoring, you just look back and see that he's touched and then get into position for a possible play. Okay? And we'll go into that tomorrow night on the field and show a little more practical application of it. Any questions? I had every intention in the world of going over some rules, but I'm not surprised I went way over on all this because I have a tendency to be too technical sometimes. So, if you have any questions about the rules, send me an email. Okay, my email's on there. I'll be happy to answer whatever I can, or call. I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have about the rules. Before we get out of here, you guys have anything else? Fair enough. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
We may, depending on the parking situation, I guess the rodeo's going on tomorrow. This is my first year here, so I don't know this. We may go out on the football field tomorrow. Maybe. They've got practice tomorrow until 6.
We may have to go directly across from here. The cop shop's over here. And then the back of the sub parking is over on that side. The back side of that, there's a space where there's a bunch of soccer nets. We might be over here, over there. We might be in the corner, or we might be here. It's just wherever we can get space to park. The reason we're pushing it to 6 is because if we have to move, your parents or those of you who drove will not get they quit ticketing at 6 o'clock. So that's the reason for it. So thanks again for coming. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. If you can't make it, we're putting this on the internet. We'll put it on the website with a link. I haven't decided how we're going to do that yet.